Hi, I'm Maldenick and this is episode 6 of my Let's Make a City Skylines Map series. So I just thought I'd start this off by showing you the thing that I've alluded to in several episodes already, that what the map editor doesn't tell you is that your fertile lands that you put down are going to have this green forestry layer subtracted from them. So you don't even see the green forestry layer in the game when you put down the trees until you save that file. When you save that file, it renders out what should be the forestry layer based on the trees there, and so then it subtracts the trees as well from your fertile lands. So obviously that means it's essentially negated all of the fertile lands we had on this peninsula. But here is a lot better. Here's essentially close to what we should be aiming for. If we put fertile lands down and then we put a sparse splattering of trees across it, it will lead to a blotchy yellow that looks a lot more realistic and less artificial. It won't look like we have just greedily put down like just solid yellow everywhere. So what we're going to do is actually put down that solid yellow first thing and cut away some of these trees. So before we get into building the roads and railroads and ferries or shipping lines, there are two things. I realized I'd removed that sandbar that we made, so I just wanted to put it in again. Just roughly put some kind of thing and then smooth it out. Probably mostly underwater. Or maybe the water will drop off that. I guess we'll leave it for a second and see. The other thing is that we wanted to have some kind of dock looking thing here. So I'm just going to smooth this more to try to make the slope less. We might go hardcore here. Not that hardcore. Just need to remove the trees, the shoreline. So if we look at this, yep, I think that will be good. So what height shall we make these? I might just go for round number in case that has any effect. So I think, let's see where 50 goes to. Yeah, that'll be fine. Oh. And then we see the after effects of water. So bring out kind of rough line. This is where my lack of artistic skill comes into effect. At this point, I'm actually going to cheat. Well, not cheat. gonna do something smarter that I should have done before. We're going to export and import once again. As before, we have this PNG file, and here I'm just gonna cheat a bit. If we eyedropper here, we know that's above ground. So I'm just gonna make some lines. Okay, now we put the black. Okay, so the length of the jetties, let's put them kind of that long. Yep, that looks fine. And now we save it. And now we import. And that should, in theory, be much better. We now smooth. Smooth in to the so yeah, that is our docks. Well, those are our docks. Having done that, we now head to the transport section. So we're going to do the fairly simple bits first, and I guess now is time to work out whether we have enough water. That error message is actually due to me putting it in the wrong place, starting in the wrong place. Actually, probably would actually be easier to start from the ocean, maybe. Okay. Can we get up this hill? We probably put it right in the center. Come on. Need to wait for a wave, it seems. So I've put some plain routes in. I don't think actually the airplane paths really matter that much, but anyway, we have some. And now it's time for railways and roads. Before we decide where we're putting our trains and automobiles, first we need to decide where our starting square is going to be, because then we can then make sure that there's a highway attached to that point and a railway nearby, and then as our city progresses we can just naturally build those highways and railways. Obviously it's best to have the infrastructure already existing within the map, but we can work as we go along. So where do we want to start? This is obviously going to be the best place for kind of flat starting position, but otherwise we could go up here, for instance, on the peninsula, or try our luck in this bay, or even the center. Given that we are going to have to worry about expanding in a contiguous manner, central obviously gives us more access to things. But I guess this does make the most sense, this place here. We also need to worry about where our starting water pumps and sewage is going to be. So we need to make sure that we have a position that has enough upstream and downstream potential. I mean, we could perfectly optimize that. If we took this or this, we could have water pumps on one side and then sewage on the other side. So maybe we'll start in this bay. So I've decided that we're going to use this for the railway. We're going to railway through here, and we're going to build a highway down this valley. Now, this has the big advantage that obviously with a highway you need, well, you don't have to have 2 lanes, but you do have to have an in and an out with your roads, and it's a lot easier to manage that on a normal slope. Winding your way through a mountain kind of canyon situation with 2 roads, trying to find like viable paths for both of them and keeping them relatively together at the same time, is a bit too difficult. So we can have our crazy mountain railway roller coaster experience, as I'll show you, but we will keep the road fairly simple. And then we'll probably have another road along this slope, unless we go for like a crazy road into the ocean highway situation. And so this is our end result, our Tropical Harbour map. I didn't show the full creation of all the transport routes because that would have been very tedious and long, and so instead I've just shown you this end product. In the end, I decided against putting in a full shipping route up the river. I found that the low-lying bits of the river were too shallow, and even though I could fudge it and cheat and make the shipping route go through by putting extra water in and then removing that water, I didn't think it would look very realistic, especially because the shipping route was going to go right up the middle of this island in the delta. I'm actually pretty proud of the way this bridge, the traffic bridge, goes across this delta. I think it looks really good. So wildlife spawners, I put sand in. We have a sandy sandbar and a little headland, so as to encourage taking this square that includes the port. So instead of having a full shipping route, we have a shipping route that comes to this bay, so it can pretend that it's connected to other cities up there inland. And we have the major centerpiece, I guess, of the transport is this dual carriage highway. This highway is a complete straight line from there to there, and I intend this to be the major axis of my city. The way I'd play this would be that I would create a perpendicular highway from there to there, and then use that to then create a perpendicular from there, thus making a parallel highway to this to connect to the bridge. And that way the entire city will be oriented according to a single parallel major axis line. But I realize how kind of pedantic and perhaps anal that is. The railroad, I decided to go through here rather than across to the peninsula, because we're now saving space on the peninsula, and this space on these slopes of this mountain weren't really being used anyway. This also offers a convenient way of connecting to the resources here, should you want to. If you would like to use this map, I am going to put a link to it, the Steam Workshop link, in the description below, and so you can feel free to try out the map for yourself, critique it, complain about it, tell me what's wrong about it, or maybe it's alright. You can't really know until you play it, and I don't know whether this will work or not. I guess the biggest question is, can I build on this slope? And only time will tell that. And until then, see you later.